Hi, I'm Steve Minelski, producer of Valley Veterans Forum, with Yvonne Schwimmer, a frequent guest interviewer on our show. Recently, Yvonne and I were invited to video the ceremony in which retired Army Specialist Fidel Bobadilla and his family were awarded a brand new, custom-built, mortgage-free home. The house was awarded by a nonprofit organization called Homes for Our Troops.
The event was hosted and organized by retired Army Sergeant Justin Bond, whose own organization, Our Heroes' Dreams, helps warriors and their families achieve their dreams and aid in their recoveries.
Yvonne and I drove over to the new home after receiving direction from Justin. A large canopy had been erected, and a podium and wireless microphone were set up in the front. We set up our own cameras on both sides of the seated audience. After a while, the entourage finally arrived.
As you'll see when you watch the video, there were some really touching moments during the ceremony. Fidel spoke very openly about how the love and attachment to his wife and his family have been so important in his recovery. Justin talked about how inspirational Fidel's commitment to physical training and recovery had been to him.
The ceremony, an open house, you interviewed Bill Ivey, Executive Director of Homes for Our Troops. He gave us some further insight into the organization and the policies and procedures in place to assure that the programs can continue to fulfill its mission.
Then I had the opportunity to interview veteran soldiers and sailors of the Korean and Vietnam eras. And that was just a remarkable experience. And there's certainly the biggest thing that impressed me, pardon me, Steve, certainly the biggest thing that impressed me was not only the service period that these men took on, but their continued investment and interest in the veterans community. So here they are, many of them were, I think all the interviewees that we had were long past their service periods, but they were clearly involved in the community. They were totally behind Sergeant Bobadilla's efforts and showed their support and their love for their fellow veterans. That really touched me. And the second big, that you mentioned the significant disabilities of some of these individuals, and the program that Justin has really gives hope and vision to these individuals. And you really saw that in Sergeant Bobadilla and his commitment to making his prosthesis work the best for him, for taking advantage of the home and the gift that he'd been given. I was really touched and very inspired by the individuals in the program.
As a fellow veteran, it was a very touching experience for me, and I can tell you that the work we spent that day was very fulfilling.
That's great.
We hope you enjoy this episode of Valley Veterans Forum, featuring veterans and events from the Kings County community. To learn more about Homes for Our Heroes or Our Heroes' Dreams, go to their respective websites, www.hfotusa.org or www.ourheroesdreams.org. Thank you for watching, and join us again here at CMAC or at the Valley Veterans Forum channel on YouTube.
And then the quick brown
Brown
fox.
fox.
I just remember looking down at my gun from the air when I got thrown out of the striker. But once the chopper got there, they loaded us up and they gave us more medication. When I first got to Balboa, and maybe 3 days later, they told me they're gonna give me a barracks, they're gonna give me a room, and start going to therapy and pretty much start the process to recovering and getting back on my feet. And
we saw the first time when he started walking, so they do the best. And 4 or 5 months, he started walking.
right now in the apartment I live, it's a little small, especially with 2 kids. The front door has a sort of like a small little ramp that goes into it, but the back, we have a back little patio, and just to get through that little, to get back inside the house, I have to try to either lift up my chair or have somebody help me out, push me in there or something. The kitchen is, we saw the new house, the model, we saw pictures of it, and it looks great. The doors, the hallways, the kitchen itself, it's, I feel like it's gonna be a life changer for me, because I love to cook. Washing dishes, the roll under sink, I've seen that and I feel like it's gonna be great.
On behalf of Homes for Our Troops, it is my great pleasure, or our great pleasure, to welcome all of you here today to share in this happy occasion, the day we present the 186th home to Fidel Bobadilla. Thank you to the active and retired military in attendance today, as well as all of the Gold and Blue Star families that are here today. Special thanks to all the American Legion Riders, the Sheriff's Office, and anyone else who was involved with the escort this morning. Thank you to the local community and county members who have come together to show their support to help today happen. Thank you. And with us today are some corporate sponsors. Thank you to Armstrong and Certainteed for your continued support and partnership with Homes for Our Troops. Also, a quick thank you to Robinson's Carpet One for donating the labor to install the flooring, as well as Big Bore Drilling for drilling the well.
Morning. My name is Jordan Starkovich. I am in 6th grade and the student body president at Monroe Elementary School. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Bobadilla for all he has done for our country. Not many people would be willing to make such a selfless sacrifice. He is a true hero. This year, Sergeant Justin Bond partnered with the 6th grade at Monroe, asking us to participate in a fundraiser for Mr. Bobadilla. Of course, we said yes. It was the least we could do. While the rest of Monroe took part in a canned food drive, the 6th grade classes, under the guidance of Sergeant Bond and my teacher, Mr. Stone, collected food supplies and some other items for the family. although it was nothing compared to what Mr. Bobadilla has done for us and our country. I would also like to thank the Homes for Our Troops for all you do for our self-sacrificing veterans. It is such a wonderful organization. Thank you again, and a big congratulations to Mr. Bobadilla and his deserving family.
I was on the battlefield and I saw many, many, many Army, Marines, and Air Force, Navy fighting. And when you're over there fighting for our country, you're given that blank check for your up to and including your life. And when you're there fighting, none of that matters. You don't think about back home. You don't think about patriotism. You think about your brothers and sisters beside you. You have to protect them because they're protecting you. But not in the battlefield. Not when bullets are flying. Not when bombs are going off. Fidel took that challenge. He stood up. He became a man overnight. 21 years old at the time. Barely 21 years old. A bomb goes off and takes both his legs. You know, most guys return home, they sit on the couch, they self-medicate. Over 90,000 suicides since this war started, but that's not Fidel. I'm so proud to know Fidel. I love the moments I have getting to know him over the last year. To see him getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and going working out, and coming home and raising a 2 and a 4-year-old, and taking care of his lovely wife who's taking care of him. And for them to be able to have this humongous gift that Homes for Our Troops is giving, and that the community is coming out and giving, is going to change his life. He doesn't know it yet. I mean, he has an idea. It's going to take him a little bit to know. But it's why we as Army and Marines and Navy and Air Force, Coast Guard, it's why we go out and fight. It's because of great Americans like you, great Americans like Homes for Our Troops, they come together, that afford us the ability, a pathway to be able to come out and build a home for somebody that needs it so much and is so deserving. Giving the pathway to citizens like Mike to come out and provide the flooring, that another company is going to donate the flooring, and we all come together and we build this home for this veteran. I'll tell you, he's embarrassed to take it. He thinks the next guy down the road deserves it more because he's a humble, true American. But I'm so glad that he took it, and I'm so glad that him and Daisy are going to be here in our community, right here in Kings County, to raise their family, to become better, to better our community, to better the livelihood around us. And I look forward to watching them grow as a family, and I look forward to watching them make our community such a better place too. We love you guys. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everybody out here who served. My hats are off to all of you. Love you guys.
And this, to my husband, I want to tell you that I love you so much, and I thank God for allowing you to come back to me and our daughter. I believe God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers, and you're such an inspiration, not only to me, but to everyone who gets to know you. Even after your injury, you always had that positive attitude. It wasn't always easy, but together we overcame it. And it's just so incredible that you will be able to move around with your wheelchair without getting stuck or falling off or even like scratching the walls. And I just want to thank everyone for coming and being here for us. Thank you. Love you guys.
Homes for Our Troops is a nonprofit, but we don't consider what we do charity. What we really believe we do is we provide a vehicle for the American people to repay a significant debt that we owe these men and women who've made such significant sacrifices defending our freedom and our independence. So we see ourselves as a vehicle to help these guys and gals get on with their lives. Our tagline is building homes and rebuilding lives. And the important part of that really is not the home, it's the rebuilding lives aspect. And that's why we stay with our veterans after we get them into the home. Now we do think that a mortgage-free, specially adapted home that's built where the veteran wants to live goes a long ways towards assisting these men and women and getting on with their lives. And certainly that's what you see behind me is the fruits of your efforts, labor, money, donations, fundraisers, and assistance to get this built for them. It's the American people that get the word out for us, and it's the American people that do the donating and the fundraising for us so we can continue to build these homes for these great Americans. But it's not about homes for our troops, it's really about the veterans. You know, the VA estimates somewhere between 1,900 and 2,000 veterans have been severely injured in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that leaves us a lot of guys and gals that we need to find land and build homes for around the country, because although 187 homes is a good number, it's nowhere near it needs to be to take care of 2,000 veterans that have made a significant sacrifice. Fidel was pretty busy in Afghanistan, going after probably the worst of the worst of the folks that would do us harm. Was finishing up a mission and returning to the FOB when, as was mentioned, his vehicle was hit, and his injuries included losing both of his legs. But the loss of those legs really doesn't define who Fidel Bobadilla is. And as you heard Justin say, he isn't letting that get him down. He's getting on with his life. You know, I'd like to introduce a true American hero to you, though, Specialist Fidel Bobadilla.
I know I'm gonna cry, just don't know when. Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for showing up today and for being here and supporting me and my family and being here to see the new house. And it got chilly out of nowhere. I'm cold, so I can't talk right. I'm gonna start out by thanking the people serving right now in the military, the past war vets. I'm gonna honor all the KIAs, people that couldn't come back to their families. In my accident, one of my sergeants passed away, my first squad leader. Rest in peace, Sergeant Sher. Thanks to my family for being here. I have a bunch of family members also serving, friends, and I like to say that I'm glad it was me that got hit instead of one of you guys. It would have been harder for me watching you guys go through all this suffering. So I thank God for every day that it was me. Special thanks to Gina for organizing everything. Like Bill said, you guys don't get thanked that much as, the organization is together as a whole, but, you guys do a lot. You're going to go drive tomorrow to Quevedos, and it's a 4-hour drive, so you do a lot for us, and thank you for organizing everything. You always come and give 110% every time. I know the traveling might suck, and you come from Massachusetts, and you're tired, but you always show up with a smile, and you always give it your all, so thank you. I want to thank my wife and my kids. You guys are my motivation every day. To get up in the morning and to do what I do. You guys motivate me every day to keep moving forward and to stay strong. I know people always wonder why I always have a smile on my face, and it's because of my kids. My kids always put a smile on my face, and I want to thank them. They're my life, and I really love to finish it off by thanking Home for Our Troops, everybody in the team back in Massachusetts. You guys do so much. Without you guys, none of this would have been possible. I would still be in a small apartment. I don't know, Justin would have been in an apartment. So 186 other veterans would have been who knows where. Probably not even with us today. So I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Home for Our Troops for everything they do. I still can't believe I'm going to receive this beautiful house.
unreal. I still can't believe it. It's just, I think a basket of muffins would have been enough. It is.
Our next guest today is really responsible for the program that helped this come to be. Bill Ivey is the Executive Director of Homes for Our Troops. And Bill, would you just take a moment to introduce us to the program? I'm sure there's many folks there that don't know about Homes for Our Troops.
Absolutely, be happy to. Homes for Our Troops is a privately funded 501c3 nonprofit organization that builds specially adapted mortgage-free homes for the most severely injured veterans coming out of Iraq and Afghanistan. We try to build as close to where the veteran lives as possible, so far we've built 187 homes across 39 states in the United States. Our tagline is building homes and rebuilding lives, and the most important part of that really is the rebuilding lives aspect. So after we provide the keys to a home like this one here for Fidel Bobadilla, we stay with our veterans and follow up to make sure that if they're having any issues, challenges, we can assist them in linking up with another nonprofit, a government organization, or a corporation that can help them solve that problem.
Great. How did this program come to be, and when did it start?
Homes for Our Troops was founded in 2004. Our founder was a builder out of Taunton, Massachusetts, which is where we're headquartered. Heard of a Massachusetts Army National Guard soldier who had lost both of his arms in Iraq in 2003, drove down to Walter Reed to talk to him and said, I'm going to build you a home. He came back to Massachusetts, he lined up his trades, his subcontractors, his suppliers, and built a home for Sergeant Peter Damon. But Peter Damon told our founder that he wouldn't accept the home if that was the only home they were going to build, and that motivated John Gonzalez to start the organization and founded the nonprofit in 2004.
Is Mr. Gonzalez, is he still involved today?
He's not. He's several years ago he moved on to other endeavors. Our current president is Major General retired Tim McHale. But what our founder started is grown into an organization that now has 28 homes in various stages of construction around the country, and we're looking for land for 20 other individuals right now as we continue to process veterans into the program and try to set them up for rebuilding their lives.
Service. So tell us about the selection process. How do you bring somebody into the program?
That's one of the things I really like about Homes for Our Troops. Our first cut line is established by the Veterans Administration, and that is their determination that a veteran is injured badly enough to qualify for Special Adaptive Housing Grant. What that generally translates to is our veterans are mostly multiple amputees, paralyzed, or severe traumatic brain injury, or TBI. Once they meet that first criteria, and the reason I like that is it's a public standard, everybody knows what it is, and we're not picking and choosing who comes into the program. So when they meet that first cut line, then we do our background investigation into finances, drugs, alcohol, whatever the issue may be, because you obviously don't want to provide a home to a veteran who's not going to be able to take care of it. If they do have an issue like that, what we do is link them up with another nonprofit, help them solve the problem, and then we bring them into the program. We link all of our veterans up with a pro bono financial planner for a 3-year period, so that when they move into the home, they've got a solid financial foundation as well as a home to get going and moving on with rebuilding their lives. So if we have a veteran who would otherwise qualify for the program, except for his finances, we link him up early with the planner so we can get him squared away and bring him into the program.
It's a remarkable program. Maybe you can tell us 2 things. 1, how people can find more information. 3, how they can find more information, where, and how they can help.
Absolutely. You can go to our website, www.hfotusa.org, hfotusa.org, and that will tell you about our program. We also list our veterans by state and by name, so you can see what's going on locally. If we're doing a groundbreaking or a volunteer day where we lay the sod and do the landscaping, or a key ceremony like we had here today. There's 3 ways folks can help us. One is welcoming our veterans into their community, and the great folks at Hanford and Kings County here did a super job of welcoming the Bobadias and wrapping their arms around them. That's the most important thing people can do for us. The second one is getting the word out. We're very dedicated to keeping as close to 90 cents on the dollar as possible going to support the veterans, which of course does not leave a lot of money for marketing and advertising. So you won't see us on TV advertising, but people getting the word out by word of mouth, local newspapers, local newscasts is how we get the word out to get people informed that Homes for Our Troops exists. And then, of course, the third way people can help us is donate. We have a monthly giving program, or you can go on the website and donate right on the website.
I'm glad to hear that, because is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I'd just like to thank the great American public for helping us out. We really don't see ourselves as charity. We see what we do as being a vehicle for the American public to repay a debt, to help restore some of the freedom and independence that these veterans have lost defending ours. 68% of our revenue is individual donors, and the word, as I mentioned, the way we get the word out is word of mouth. And we're a very grassroots organization. That's the thing I think I really like about Homes for Troops is it's us helping American people. We pay a debt to these veterans. Sure, I had the opportunity to serve in the U.S. Army as an infantryman for 31 years, mostly in light airborne and some Ranger units. I retired as a colonel in 2006 when I got back from Iraq. Worked for the Army for another 7 years, advising units in Iraq and Afghanistan before I came to work here at Homes for Our Troops in January of 2014. So for me, this is a great opportunity to take care of the guys that I was privileged to serve with for over 31 years.
Excellent.
We go into the wild blue yonder, climbing high into the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Adam boys, give her the...
This is Yvonne Schwemmer with you today from Valley Veterans Forum. We're in Hanford, California, where we're in the midst of a dedication of a home, Homes for Our Troops, and we have the opportunity to speak to some very distinguished retired military veterans. We want to interview today we want to interview today Sergeant Major Harry Garcia, and it's such a pleasure to be with you and get to know you a little bit. So Harry, tell us a little bit about your military service, when you joined, and what brought you here today.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your question.
All right. So Harry, tell us a little bit about your military career. Let's start with that. Just tell us about your military career.
Okay. I joined the Air Force
in December of 1950. Air Force as we know it today was about 2 years old. I went to basic in Texas, and from there, the Air Force made me a helicopter mechanic, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. Where did you serve in the military? And yes, just tell us where you served in the military.
Okay. I joined the Air Force December of 50, got discharged in January of 55. And in between, I served in Texas, served in the Philippines, Korea, and in Japan. Got out of the Air Force in 1955. In 1958, I joined the Army Guard in Fresno and stayed there until January of 90. When I turned 60, I got out of the Army Guard and I joined the State Military Reserve, served another 5 years, and then I retired completely from my military.
When they talk about a career military person, that sure defines you, correct? You've been in the military your whole life.
Actually, it was almost 44 years that I served, as we say in the military, in boots. In my military career, I served under 11 presidents.
My goodness. So what was your most rewarding tour of duty? What really, let me do that again. What was your most rewarding tour of duty?
It's so long, I don't think I can pinpoint any one thing. I just can't, just so many things happen. My military career, I'll tell you what, as I left San Francisco going to the Philippines, it was really a guy from Carruthers was, I was just lonely, flabbergasted going underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. It was just, I don't know.
So you hadn't traveled much before you joined the military, right?
Oh no, I'm an old country boy from Carruthers, and I think I've been out of the county maybe a couple of times, and I joined the Air Force. They sent me to Texas for my basic training and travel in between. But when they sent me overseas, the first time I really had been anywhere, and it was an experience for a guy that had never been anywhere.
So you came back from 2 military duties where that wasn't very popular, Korea and then Vietnam. And today we're here giving a home to a veteran from Afghanistan. Tell me about what it was like when you came home from those theaters, from Korea and then from Vietnam.
Well, actually, when we came home from Korea, we were not too popular as veterans that came home from Vietnam. They called us all kinds of names, and we did not have a very good homecoming. Vietnam was the same way. I'm just glad that these veterans coming home, that these veterans are coming home now get what they deserve. I'm really honored to be here today. Absolutely.
Let me give you a time to catch your emotions, because it is an emotional time. And I'm grateful. I grew up in the Vietnam era, so I'm grateful to see.
I'm sorry.
I grew up in the Vietnam era. My classmates were going to Vietnam, so I'm so glad to see them being treated well as well. How are you here today? Do you know Fidel or the family?
I'm a member of American Legion Post in Lemoore, and Justin is a member of our post. And when the House for veterans first came up, Justin came and talked to us and told us about it. And our post had the honor to be the honor guard here when they first dedicated the house. And at our last American Legion meeting, Justin was there and told us that the house was going to be dedicated. And our Legion members are here today, and that's why I'm here. And my wife is a member of the Legion too, so we are here today. That's what brought us here today.
Excellent. So with all those years, you said 44 years in the military, and you still continue to serve. And so we have a lot to be thankful for you. So for all those years where you didn't get the gratitude you deserved at that time, just thank you very much for your service.
It's my honor, and I would do it again if I had to.
I'm sure you would. Thank you very much, sir. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, Yvonne Schwemmer here again with Valley Veterans Forum, and we're continuing our day in Hanford where we've been at a home for our troops unveiling with the family of Fidel Bobadilla, who was a recipient of a beautiful, beautiful home. And as we've been in the Hanford area, we're also privileged to talk to Ken Boyd, who entered the military, the Army, it was a great year. There was a lot going on in 1966. So you entered the military when all of that was going on. So you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I was drafted in 1966, and I spent 6 to 8 months in the States going through training, and I ended up in Vietnam in '67. And I had 2 weeks left in Vietnam. I'd been over there quite a while. I was ready to come home. I had already sent my personals home, and they were asking for a volunteer to go out on a week patrol. And so myself and a few other friends of mine, we volunteered just to get out of the base camp. And on our last night out in the field, we were at 2:30 in the morning. It was Tet New Year. We got overrun. Our position got overrun, and the 3 soldiers that were manning the machine gun at the time, they killed them immediately. And then I was in my tent, and they went and threw 2 satchel charges on me. And after I got my senses about me, I was trying to find my rifle. It blew away along with my hand grenades. And so I started crawling toward where the machine gun was. And as I was crawling, felt like a rock hit the outer side of my right leg. And as it hit, it blew. The grenade hit me, and I went tumbling about 4 times. And when I got my senses again, I reached down, and I could feel my femoral artery pumping blood. And I said, well, this is it. I thought, I figured that I was in deep trouble at the time. So anyway, I kept crawling, and then it got really quiet, and I said, uh-oh, we're in trouble. So I reached down with my right arm and found my femoral artery and started squeezing it. And with my left hand, I dug a hole under my face, and I stuck my face down in the dirt where they couldn't hear me breathing, because it was 2:30 in the morning, so it was dark. And so as I was laying there, one of their soldiers, Viet Cong, came over, and he kicked me in the left side as hard as he could. And I said, well, whoa, this is not good. And I said, well, if he kicks me again, I'm going to roll my head over and look at him and see if he's got a knife or a gun holding in his hands. Well, as he did, I saw that he had nothing, so I let him go about his business, and he went through my pockets and took my dog tags off me, and I had a watch on my left arm, so he pulled that up as high as he could, and he's trying to get my wristwatch off of me. And finally he figured it out, and so I let my arm just drop to the ground and played dead so he wouldn't, excuse me. Anyway, they went over about 15 or 20 feet from where I was laying, and they were sitting there eating our sea rations because they'd killed everybody but myself and another guy. And after about 10 minutes, a gunship flew over and started just blowing the hell out of them. And so finally, they went off the side of the hill, and eventually a medevac came in, and they sat down on the mountain there, and they threw me on a stretcher, started toward the chopper, and all of a sudden I'm back on the ground again. Clifford Jones, a friend of mine, got shot in the head, and he dropped me on the ground. Well, anyway, he was killed. So another soldier picked me up and threw me on the chopper, and finally got me down to the medevac station, and I was definitely about gone. They put 28 pints of blood in me after they got me in the station, and before I went into the operating room. And anyway, I was very lucky to made it through that one. So.
And how many hours transpired from when you got hit to when you were in the hospital?
From the time I got hit, I would say it was an hour before they started cutting on me. If I hadn't squeezed my artery, I would not have made it. Then I got to the point to where I couldn't squeeze anymore, and so if they had not have picked me up when they did, I would not have made it.
It's an incredible fortitude, really a miraculous story. They talk about survivor's remorse. Did you experience anything like that? Was that a challenge for you?
Yes. Yeah, I had some problems with that. I really did. It definitely did not seem fair that the friends of mine that were killed, just were in the wrong spot. I mean, I don't even know how I made it. I really don't. When I think back upon it, I can't believe that I actually went through that. It just it gives me chills to think about it, even to today. And I had nightmares for many, many years, and I wake up and I'd just be screaming, and slinging my arms, and which the wife did not appreciate that. So that was a bit rough.
Do you feel like all the resources that are needed for recovery and reconnection are available to our troops today?
I think, yes, I do. I really do.
How does that differ? We talked about the reception, but what about the resources? When you guys came back, what were the resources, if any?
None. No, they all denied it. If we said that there was something wrong, they denied it. They wouldn't. They said it was all in our mind. Well, it was all in our mind.
It's a dangerous place to be.
And it still is in our mind. But yeah, it's now they recognize the fact that people are coming home with problems. And I'm glad that they recognize that, and thank God for that they're treating people. And Justin Bond look at the lives that he has saved just through his help, and all the suicide that is going on nowadays is just beyond belief. I couldn't believe it.
Well, I think that's what the importance of sitting down and talking with you, because it's that vet to vet opportunity to to bring healing. And encouragement. So I thank you for taking the time to share your remarkable story. You've been out of the military for how long?
Since 1969. Never. No, I worked for the Navy for 40 years in the physiology department, where we train pilots and air crew with altitude simulators and stuff of that nature. So,
yeah, I would think you can't help but wonder, where does the wherewithal come for that
Yeah.
level of survival to do. I think that's how we were crafted, is to survive, and
Yeah.
but that's digging deep.
Yeah, I didn't want to die. You know, I did everything that I could to prevent that happening, but I did get to the point there where I did give up. I said, well, it's obvious at this point where I'm at, and as far as my body functions go, that I'm not going to make it out of here alive. You know, so I thank the Lord that I'm here.
You made it out to. You married. You had a family.
Right.
And a very long-lived career, continuing to be of service.
Right.
So there was obviously.
I just remember looking down at my gun from the air when I got thrown out of the striker. But once the chopper got there, they loaded us up and they gave us more medication, and after that I passed out.
When I answered the phone, it's a soldier. He told me, hey, Mr. Fidel, yeah, I'm Fidel. He said, I'm sorry, but you gotta choose son, Fidel Jr. He was accident in Afghanistan.
And I remember being in Walter Reed after a surgery. I'll wake up and where's my family? Where's my family? And
so when the first time when we go to the hospital, so my son, he's like in the room, and we outside, it's a big glass, and when they move the door, when I saw Fidel, I tried to be strong, you know. So, but at the same time, is something happy because we are together at the same time.
When I first got to Balboa, and maybe 3 days later, they told me they're gonna give me a barracks, they're gonna give me a room, and start going to therapy and pretty much start the process to recovering and getting back on my feet. And
we saw the first time when he started walking, so they do the best, and 4 or 5 months, he started walking.
We saw the new house, the model. We saw pictures of it, and it looks great. The doors, the hallways, the kitchen itself. It's I feel like it's gonna be a life changer for me because I love to cook. Washing dishes, the roll under sink. I've seen that, and I feel like it's gonna be great. This house will be a lot safer. It'll be, I don't have to worry about falling. I don't have to worry about injuring myself. And that's a big issue for me, trying to make sure I don't fall down, make sure I don't hurt myself. This house with me and my family is gonna be a new beginning. My plans are to go to school. I wanna be some kind of social worker, either counseling or something in that area. Having the house would relieve a lot of pressure when it comes to my own goals. I don't have to worry about where my kids are gonna grow in, or if we're gonna have a house or an apartment, or just everyday stresses will be gone, and be able to focus on me and my family or what I want to do. And I think this house would change my life. Yeah, I'm glad for Home for a Truth for everything they do. I know a lot of people here are veterans, either in the Army, Marines, Navy. They've all either have family in the military, and then I'm glad for everything they do. I feel like they change soldiers' lives every day.
Thanks God, and thanks all these people doing this for these soldiers, and I feel like happy for him.
I retired in 1992 as a senior chief. Radioman.
I'm sorry, Senior Chief?
Radioman.
Radioman?
Yes.
And excuse my ignorance, but what branch of military?
Just Navy.
Just Navy? shouldn't say just Navy.
Well, we were number 2
And you were a POW.
in 1968. Let's begin with the U.S.S. Liberty first.
Great privilege of interviewing Senior Chief Radioman David Ritter, retired from the Navy, a prisoner of war, missing in action during Vietnam, and has quite a story to tell us. First, let's just, you have some dedications to your father here on your jacket that you were telling me about, so let's have you tell our audience.
Well, my father was in World War II in the 364th Fighter Group over in Europe and England with the B-17s and Mustangs and P-38s. And so his first name was Casper, and so therefore my road name is Critter. That's how you get stuck with names, unfortunately.
Good. And you've probably earned that name over the years, I'm sure, right?
Oh, I've had it in a few restroom walls.
All right, so you have a story to tell us, and you said you wanted to begin with what?
Well, let's begin with the fact that I joined the Navy, the Naval Reserve, in 1961, and I was still in high school, so I joined the reserves. I was 17. And when I got to high school itself, the electronics instructor was also a reservist, but he was a reservist with Naval Security Group. And he suggested that I, instead of going to meetings once a month, I come once a week on Tuesday. So I changed, and that's how I became a member of the Naval Security Group way back then. Lead us into the U.S.S. Liberty as my first duty station in 1965, and that lasted through 1966. So I got off there, and in 1967, I think everybody remembers the 7-Day War, and the U.S.S. Liberty received a torpedo on the side, and they almost sunk her. So that's a big story. One can spend a lot of time perusing, and who wants to spend all that time on that? From the U.S.S. Liberty, I went to Japan, to Kamasea, and I was out there playing an electronic intelligence instructor. And I was riding various ships up and down, teaching electronic intelligence collection. We called it ELIN. In the fall of '67, the U.S.S. Pueblo arrived on their first tour. And they had a few sick sailors and were short some manpower. They put out a request for volunteers. And I volunteered. So in January of '68, I joined the U.S.S. Pueblo and took a sea cruise. Remember Gilligan's Island and the 3-hour tour? Well, this was supposed to be a 30-day tour, which became 11 months. And since my prior mission was training, I had already been to Survival, Escape, Evasion, Resistance School, and we call it SEER School. So I already knew how to be a prisoner and survive that sort of aspect. So when the real thing happened, I didn't have as much trauma as the others who had no experience, fresh out of school. And then you ask, well, what about the skipper? I don't know anything about the skipper. I didn't even meet him yet. It took a while before that occurred. And we were just about finished with our tour. There in about the end of January, and we had been trying to elicit various radars to illuminate or turn on, and we weren't having a lot of success. And in the end, one of our prime targets turned on. Unfortunately, it was on a PT boat that came out and wanted to investigate, along with its brethren. And there starts 11 months of detention. in the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. At that time, that is the official definition of our sojourn. I call it my Korean War sabbatical. I got some education. I know all about him. I don't want to know about him, but I drive a Korean car today.
David, you have obviously a remarkable attitude about your experience, and you're here still serving other veterans in your retirement. Was your attitude like that continuously, or did you have to go through a resurrection of your spirit as it is today?
No, I was somewhat detached the whole time I was over there. Maybe I'm ADHD or AD or who knows what, but I had no problem leaving the area, so to speak, and not being overly stressed by the environment and the happenstance. And then I stayed in the service until 1992, so I liked it. Unfortunately, I couldn't remain in the security group because that was a compromised situation. So I was invited to change my rate from CT back to my original rating, which was radioman. And from then, I made chief and traveled about the world. After the Pueblo, and we're back here in Colorado, in Coronado. From there, I went to Stockton, the Naval Communications Station, which is no longer with us anymore at Rough and Ready Island, and then to Guam. Then I got my first black shoe ship, non-security group, in the form of the U.S.S. Albert David, which promptly went to the shipyard in Bremerton. So I spent that whole tour practically in Bremerton, which was a nice spot. And then from Bremerton, I went to Whidbey Island. Well, I got off, the ship itself, we ended up in the Persian Gulf. So I got that experience. And then from there, I go to Whidbey Island. And from there, we go back to sea again on the U.S.S. Bruton. Got to Australia and a few in the South Pacific Islands and Operation Hand Clasp. And then after that, I retired from the Navy. Well, actually, we got back to NES Lemoore on a second trip. And then I retired from there. And at this point, I am not retired. I work for the County of Tulare. I'm a network administrator. So when am I going to retire? When the Discovery bill is paid.
Well, how does that make you feel to see veterans treated with this respect and attitude today when you look at how they've been treated in past theaters?
It's a long time in coming. It is not how we got treated on our return. You had the haves that say we're heroes and the haves that say you gave up the ship without a fight or without firing a shot. And it stayed that way until there was a declaration in Congress in 1990 or near 1990 when they awarded us the Prisoner of War Medal for that time frame and changed the designation from a detainee to BOW. So today, we have a very much enlightened viewpoint, even with the folks that aren't in favor of playing over the sandbox. We're there, and it looks like we may be stuck a while.
I'm so grateful to see you honored and to be part of the group that's honoring a war hero today. So thank you for your military service. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. God bless you and
thank you.
All your efforts in the future.
Thank you.